Hey guys, this is JJ. Welcome back to my channel. So today in front of you is a Bburago 1:18 scaled Ferrari F40 Evoluzione. Ferrari F40 was first released in 1987, and I believe Bburago started to manufacture the 1:18 scale model car in the early 90s, and this Evoluzione version was produced in 1992. However, on my Bburago packaging box, it shows it was produced in the year 1995, which I'll show you guys with the packaging in just a sec. So this F40 is actually a prototype version. It's not the manufacturing edition. I don't think Bburago has ever produced the production version of the F40. So this one is the prototype, as I said. It's quite easy to tell. If you look at the rear engine bay window, it has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe there are 9 louvers on each side, so total of 18. Whereas the production version of the F40, I believe there are only 11 louvers plus on the windscreen there's one louver in the middle at the bottom of the display as well. And another thing that you could clearly identify is there are only 4 louvers behind the rear wheel on each side of the vehicle. So I'm talking about this area. So the prototype one has got 5 louvers and the production one has only got 4. And also, if you can see, the F40 logo is printed on the left hand side of the rear spoiler right there. And the production version of the F40 has the F40 kind of indented logo on the right hand side of the spoiler. So that's how you determine whether the F40 is a prototype version or the production version. So just to give you some background information, as I said earlier, the Ferrari F40 was first manufactured in 1987. There are a total of 1,315 cars that were manufactured, so they are relatively rare. The Ferrari F40 is one of the Ferrari 5. So if you count from the Ferrari 288 GTO as the first one, then the second one you have got the F40, the third you have F50, the fourth one is the Ferrari Enzo, and the fifth one is the Ferrari LaFerrari. So it's definitely worth collecting a F40 in your collection if you are a keen Ferrari collector that you want to collect the Ferrari 5. And I personally have already got 3 other 1:18 scale Ferrari F40, of which 2 of them are by Bburago. I've got one red and one yellow, both plain color. And I also got another yellow color made by Kyosho as well. And this is the 4th edition of my F40 in the F40 collection. I actually received this car over the weekend, so it's only about 2 days ago. I am planning to return this model car because there are a few defects that I'm not too happy about, and the seller didn't mention it in the item description. I bought it through eBay for about £45 British pound, and let me show you the defects area so that you will be aware of when you're purchasing the model car for your collection as well. Okay, so I've taken the F40 off the spinning top so you can see the car in better details. So just to show you a few things, actually before I start that, I just want to kind of point out a few things that you know, when you are planning to purchase a Ferrari F40 as a collectible items, there are a few things that you should definitely check if possible before making the purchase. So specifically to the Bburago F40 1/18 scales, the things that you need to look out for as number one, and it's quite a common problem with the F40, just the way they built the model car. So if you flip the car upside down, you can see the suspension system, as in the coil, that plastic coil on both sides, right there. So what you need to do is kind of look and see, first of all, whether the coil is actually there. I have purchased another F40 before, and one side of the coil is missing. This is due to the age of the model, because, you know, if you have assembled a Bburago 1/18 scale F40 before, you'll probably be, you know, fully aware of what I'm describing. So with this gray color suspension coil, you pretty much have to twist that plastic from being horizontal to the driving axle to, you know, to a 90 degrees so that it point upwards. And as you know, the properties of the plastic, after, you know, a long period of time, then the plastic becomes brittle, and a lot of the F40 would have had the suspension coil kind of broken off completely or still attached, but, you know, all it takes is you just need to apply a bit of force on the suspension coil, and then that whole coil part would fall off. So be aware of that. My recommendation is, when you get the model car, and if you do have the two suspension coil in place, just drop a bit of glue in that area where it's showing white. So that's just the stress mark from being twisted when they assemble the model car. So it's this part right here, and is that part here, as you can see in white. Just drop a bit of glue to try to reinforce that area so that the coil doesn't break off after a while. Okay, and then another things to look out for, and this all depends on, you know, whether the previous owner actually keep the model car as a display item, or do they actually play with the model car. So the seatbelt stickers on the seatbelt area, so there are 4 in total, 2 on each side. You need to double check that those stickers are not missing. I have purchased a couple of Lamborghini Countach before by Bburago, and one of the model car has got those stickers missing. So I have to buy those stickers on eBay to replace them. So that's another area to look out for when you're trying to buy the Bburago model, especially the F40 and the Lamborghini Countach version. And then the first thing to look out for is mainly the windscreen, or any kind of glass or plastic display area. You need to make sure that there are no scratches. So this one on the rear windscreen or engine glass bay, it seems okay. However, the front windscreen, as you can see, there are some marks on it. So there's one mark right there, and there's also another kind of more obvious mark there. So that's 1 and 2, And then the other ones, I'm sure you can just clean it off fairly easily, or with a bit of polish you can get the light scratch marks off. One thing to be aware of is these stickers, make sure you don't polish them off as well. These ones are actually like normal stickers, so it should be okay, but some of them where they use water transfer and they are more fragile and they do come off very easily, but not for this model, because all of those stickers are plastic stickers. So you can see the outline from there going around the front, the whole, almost the entire bonnet, including the side Ferrari shield. This is one large piece of sticker. Whereas the normal F40, the plain color version, those are separate stickers, not just one whole one. And you can also see the sticker also covered the air vent. So that's not through, it's got a sticker over it. But that's okay. As a display model, you don't really notice it until you pick up the car and look it up closely. So the only difference between a normal F40 by Bburago compared to this F40 Evoluzione was quite obvious. Apart from having all those fancy stickers, you also get a set of gold rims. So the standard F40 has silver rims, and in terms of the interior, it is identical. There is no addition compared to the normal F40 model. Everything is the same, and even the underside is exactly the same as per a normal F40 model. Another thing that I want to make you aware when buying this model car secondhand, these actually apply to a few of the Bburago Ferrari model, but namely the Ferrari F40 as well as the Ferrari the Ferrari 288 GTO. So one thing that worth checking is the suspension links, or the double wishbone suspension. You just need to double check that they are not kind of broken. They are quite brittle after some years. You're looking at over 20 years for this model alone. So it depends on how the previous owner or how you actually keep the model at home. So the plastic can become very, very brittle. So one thing I would avoid from doing is having your model car resting on the table or on a surface. Don't try and apply pressure on the model car, i.e. testing the suspension system. Well, this one, they don't have suspension, so I won't advise you to apply any pressure onto the model car, because you might break off the suspension links by accident. So be aware of that. Okay, so one other thing that is different to a standard F40, as I mentioned, the wheels are all gold in this Evoluzione, and also the spare rims inside, that's underneath the front bonnet, that is also gold. So if you have the standard F40, that spare rim is silver color. So apart from that, everything else is exactly the same. Let me just close this. So let's just start reviewing the F40. So starting from the base, this whole model is made out of die-cast metal, so it's fairly heavy. The under chassis is plastic. You can see it's got some sort of carbon texture on the bottom chassis. You can see the Bburago logo is a Ferrari F40 dated 1987. That's when Ferrari F40 was released. It's a 1:18 scale, and this is the traditional Bburago model back in the days. That's made in Italy. This is before they got taken over by Meichong Group, and they started manufacturing the model cars in China and other Asian country. But this one is the original one, so it has got the stamp saying made in Italy. And then, you know, you can see all the suspension geometry, the suspension links, everything is there. The exhaust pipe is all there, which is really nice. And then towards the rear end, you get to see the louvers underneath the lower bumper, which is really nice. So that's perforated. Okay, so looking at the front, the headlight details are quite nice. So you get a clear headlight and the orange indicator, and there's also markings on the actual headlamp which simulate the heating element. And then on the bottom there are 3 air inlet, and there is a separate part of plastic mesh, so that's perforated. As I mentioned earlier, all of those stickers on the front bonnet is of a massive sticker. So you can't just scrape off one sticker and replace it. So you have to take out the entire sticker if you want to replace anything. Now look at the wheels. It's got tire marking there. So you said Pirelli P0, and then on the other end it's 245 40 ZR17, and the front wheel are slightly different to the rear ones. As you can see, the rear one has got more offset compared to the front one. That's a lot deeper in comparison. And compared to the normal F40, this Evolution version has got the sun visor sticker. You can see the dashboard is made out of a grey plastic molded part with air vent that is perforated. You also get a molded windscreen wiper. That is one piece. So I would advise you not to move the windscreen wiper too much, because I know some people like to see it working or moving, but then you would potentially leave marks on the windscreen. So try not to move that windscreen wiper if you want to keep your model car in pristine condition. Now lifting the front bonnet, you can see there are plastic separate parts for the fender, and then it comes with vents, which is really cool. The spare wheel, this is a real spare wheel. You can actually take it out from this compartment and then replace with either side of the front wheel. But that doesn't fit the rear wheel because the rear wheels are thicker than the front wheel. So that can only be replaced to either side of the front wheels. And you can also see some details inside the front trunk. There's 2 damper there, but they're not real damper, they're just molded plastic. Same as the reservoir, another container. So let me just clip this back. So looking at the side door, obviously you've got more sponsor sticker, and you also see 2 air vents on the side, so that goes straight through to the engine bay, and the bottom vent goes straight through to the rear wheel. And there is also another vent there next to the kind of rear side windscreen going through into the engine bay. So the whole car is made out of die-cast metal, as I said earlier. However, the body parts, like the side mirror, that's made out of molded plastic, and it is part of the door card. It does have a reflective sticker behind the casing. And then the interior, let me zoom in a little bit. So the interior is okay. It has got a lot of stickers, i.e. the speedometer, the turbo gauges, the temperature gauges, they're all sticker. And in the center of the steering wheel, you also see a Ferrari logo in the center, and the steering wheel is connected directly to the front wheel, so you could steer that. It does have chrome signal indicator, chrome pedals at the bottom, and a chrome gear stick, so that looks really cool. And there are also 2 red color racing seats. They're bucket seat type with the seat belt as plastic separate parts, and the grey tub to simulate this carbon. So the carbon fiber tub would have looked a lot nicer if they would have painted it in black, but this model they just have it in grey. Then in the center between the 2 racing seats, you can see the handbrake. That's also molded plastic in red. So when you're opening and shutting the panels on these die-cast car, make sure you do that gently so that you don't accidentally scrape off any of the paint on the body. Okay, so the rear wheel, again, it should have similar tire wall marking, Pirelli P0, and this one is thicker tire, so it's actually saying 335 35 ZR17 compared to the front, which is 245/40 ZR17. So you can see the rear tires are quite a bit thicker than the front tires. So above the rear wheels, you can see there are another 2 vents, one on each side. So that kind of duct the air directly to the intercooler at the back, which I will show you in just a sec when I have the engine bay open. And then also there are more louvers at the back underneath the spoiler for the engine heat to escape. Now looking at the rear end of the F40, you can see the iconic brake lights and indicator right there, which is really nice. The mesh, that is a separate plastic part that is perforated. You can actually see through to the engine bay. And then just underneath the rear spoiler, as I mentioned earlier, there are 5 louvers. So this is a prototype version. The production version only has 4, and it should be on both sides, 4 louvers. So you also have the Ferrari logo. It's a chrome separate parts on the mesh. And then each side of the bonnet, you get this clips to hold and secure your engine cover in place. And in the middle, you can see the iconic F40 exhaust pipes. Which is really cool. So let's open the engine bay. So you use this prop to keep the engine bay cover or the clamshell staying up. And here you get a very good view of the very chunky racing tires. They do spin freely. And now you can also get a better look of the suspension coil. So this is the part that I mentioned earlier. You need to double check to make sure they are not missing or half broken. So you can already see in that area, that's where the plastic was twisted to go upwards. So it should be going horizontal originally. But when they assemble the model, they have to twist that part to make the coil stand up vertical. So make sure you check that. This one is actually not, trying to get it focused. This one is actually not too bad. You can see the twisted plastic is still of grey color. Whereas that side, you can see there's a bit more of a stress mark. It's turning white. So dab a bit of glue there on both sides, so you don't have to worry about, losing the suspension coil in the long run. And then the engine bay is pretty standard. It's got fairly good details to kind of replicate the F40 engine bay. There is actually a rear window right there. You can't see it, but it's there. And you can see the twin turbocharged V8 engine right there. in terms of details of the engine, it is pretty cool. Consider this is a relatively old model by Bburago. So I'll show you with all the panels open. Just like that, which is really cool as a F40 model. So now I won't shut all the panels properly because I want to show you the reason why I have decided to return this model car. I mean, under normal circumstances, I'm sure other collector would be more than happy to collect this model car. It is a very clean model. When I bought it from the seller, I believe this car was previously stored in a warehouse, and the model car was in box since new. That's a good indication that this car hasn't been, out on display. You can see the underside of this sticker where the air vent is. There's no dust whatsoever. It's still very clean and clear, and there's no sign of any stickers peeling. They all kind of sit flush to the body. But anyway, the few flaws that I picked out on this model, I know it's just myself being super picky, but most of my model cars, if not all of my model cars, are in pristine condition. That's why it takes me a lot longer to come up with my collection, because all the cars looks almost new, with minimal of damage. So anyway, when I first got this car out of the box, straight away I've noticed on the rear wheels, you can see the rims, there are some scratch marks already, like the gold color has been scraped off. Quite a lot of it. And same on the other side. It's just on the outer rims where the color has rubbed off, but as a new model, or a new model that has been kept in the box, I would expect the condition to be a lot better than this, because the other two Ferrari F40 that I have, their wheels conditions are pristine. And while we are on this section of the car, you probably can see there's a paint chip right there in the corner, one there, and then there's another chip paint right there in between the louvers, and then there's also a discolored right there which doesn't come off, don't know why. Also on the right hand side door, I'm not sure how well you could see it, but there is actually a bulge on the door, so this is a manufacturing defect. It's not a bubble on the sticker, it's the actual door. When they cast it, it somehow created a bubble, so it's sticking out like that, and it's not something that you could press in. That's metal after all. And then the common thing that that would apply to most of the F40 models, where you shut the front kind of hood, you always get a bit of chip paint right there, and it's normally happen on both sides, but that's okay. That's a common issue. It's just the way they design and put the F40 together, so I don't mind that. That's a common issue with almost all of the Ferrari F40 model. What else? The front wheels, they're good. There's no complaint on them. Actually, there is another thing which is kind of minor, but you probably can't even see it. The sticker in the center of this steering wheel, there's a crease there. But again, this is a common error. Most of the Ferrari or any Bburago model, very often you will find the logo in the middle of the steering wheel is not aligned properly. Sometimes they put it upside down as well. So that is not the seller's fault. It's just a manufacturing defect. While we are looking at this section of the car, one thing to kind of be aware of when you buy the older model car, you know, the older model normally come with this kind of reflective sticker for both sides of the mirror, so make sure they're not missing. And another big thing that I've noticed is the F40 sticker. You can see the bottom half of the F is not there, so it's like the sticker has been teared somehow, and I believe that might be a damage that was done from the manufacturing line, not something that the previous owner have done. But anyway, and then the last thing, I believe, if you can see the engine bay, there are a lot of scratches on this surface. Let me just zoom in. So there are a lot of scratches there. I don't know why, and I don't even know how those marks were created, because it's not rubbing against anything. So let me close this. So everything else about this F40 is as good as it can get, really. I mean, this car was produced in the early 90s, and I have to admit it is quite difficult to find a pristine model like this one. But as I said, you know, I'm a very, very picky collector, so I do want my model car to be absolutely perfect. And with those defects that I've shown you guys, I have to return it. So just remembered, I forgot to show you guys the box that came with the Ferrari F40 Evoluzione. So it looks like a standard Bburago box, and it just say the model number. So this Evoluzione is a 1992 model, though underneath the model car it said F40 and it's dated 1987, which is the year when the car was released. And if you have, you know, the boxes for the Bburago model, you know, very often if you open up the left hand side, you know, with the window facing you, you open up the left side, and on this card it tells you roughly when this car was manufactured. So this one said 1995, and you can see the number 6. Sorry, I tried to get that focus. And you can see the number 6 is missing between 5 and 7. So I presume this model car was manufactured in 1995, sometime in June. So, I mean, I'm just guessing the information. So if you know, whether I'm correct or not, then feel free to comment to let me know. But most of the Bburago box, you will see this kind of round printing, and then it will give a good indication of roughly, how old this model car is. And yeah, even the box said made and printed in Italy. So this is a relatively old model. So let me put the box away and bring the car back into the camera. Okay, so there you go, guys. This is the F40 with all the panels opened. It's pretty nice model, despite the few minor defects on the model car. But I'm sure a lot of you would be more than happy to add this car to your collection. But it's just, for me, unfortunately, I see those defects as a big thing, and I can't stand having a model with a few minor defects to be sitting next to my other pristine models. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to find another F40 in this racing stickers. As I mentioned earlier, I actually bought this model car through eBay. I'm planning to return the model car back to the seller, so you guys might be able to find it on eBay again with this exact model, with the exact defects, i.e. the little bulge on the right hand side door, and then there are a few scuff marks on the rims, and then a few paint chip here and there, and also on the engine bay there are some scratches as well. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys won't mind it, but as I said, this is just my personal preference. So to search it on again, hopefully I'll be able to find one. This actually, I have to say honestly, is a very, very good model. A lot of the Ferraris that you find, sometimes you will see there are kind of underspray on the door seal. So there you can see it's fully painted red, both left side and the right side. So this is pretty good. I mean, some of the model car, if you open the door, you would just see like a silver or gray color, which doesn't have any paint on it. And same applied to the inside of the compartment, i.e. the engine bay, as well as under the front hood. So this model is a very, very good model. I probably will regret returning it to the seller, but at the same time, I really hope this model car will go to a good home, and that I will be able to find one which is in a slightly better condition. And yeah, I think that's about it about this model car. I mean, if you guys have got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments box, and I will come back to you as soon as I can. And you know, as I mentioned earlier, I have got 3 other F40s in different colors, and one of them by Kyosho. So I will be doing a review of those cars as well. So feel free to let me know which color of the Bburago you would like me to review next. And also, if you are interested in seeing the Kyosho version of the F40 as well, feel free to let me know. I can kind of pencil in to record that as another full review as well. So for now, let me just try and close all the panels, and you can see the car with everything shut, and you can see the model car properly again. Just give me 1 second. All right, there you go, with all the panels shut again. So this is what you would see on your display cabinet. It is a very, very beautiful car. I really do like the Ferrari F40, and it is definitely my top #1 dream car of all time. I know I loved a lot of other cars, but the F40 is right up there. So I hope you guys also enjoyed this video, and you guys are also a big fan of the Ferrari F40 like I do. And yeah, as I said earlier, this car is a Ferrari F40 Evoluzione. So, you know, it is a very old model. You know, according to the box, this was made in 1995, and we are now in 2022. So it's well over 20 years. I mean, to find one in this condition is quite rare. You know I can easily repair those defects myself, but you know, as I paid around 45 British pound for it, I would expect the car to be pristine. You know, I'll see how it goes. If I can't find a replacement that is in a better condition than this, then I probably will contact the seller and maybe consider repurchasing this model, and then I'll just do the repair myself. But yeah, if you guys have one of this model with the same racing stickers on the body that you are consider selling, do feel free to contact me. Or if you have come across the same model on eBay or any seller, then please feel free to drop me the link, and I'll look into making the purchase to that next model as well. So for now, thank you so much for checking out my new video, and I shall see you in my next reviewed video. Take care for now, guys. Bye for now.